Hello, welcome to the LaRouche PAC Weekly Report for November the 9th, 2011. I'm John Hofle, and with me in the studio are two members of our basement, Peter Martinson and Sky Shields, and of course, Lyndon LaRouche. So Lynn, take it away.
All right, before I get into what I'm going to say here, I'll just read something off a script which will be the introduction to a document which I'm producing, which is quite relevant to the situation. It reads as follows. In the late summer of 1977, I had committed myself to what was to be named later as a Strategic Defense Initiative, otherwise known as SDI, initiative by U.S. President Ronald Reagan, but what we know today is the damned fools voted down Reagan twice, not once but twice. Today they appear to be about to call it a thermonuclear Armageddon. Tomorrow some people may call it thermonuclear hell, or perhaps Queen Elizabeth II for a day. I do not accept that as being the final judgment on mankind, nor has Russia or China too. We are on the edge, and it was more so in the news overnight in the past day. We're on the edge of a global thermonuclear showdown. So far, the pretext has been that this involves Syria and Iran. That's not true. These are simply like something like the old Balkan system, where you start a war with some local wars of a Balkan type, and these are intended to kick off a general war. Just for example, we had two world wars, which are based on exactly this formula. One was World War I, the second one was World War II, and there were some wars which were preliminary to that also, from about 1894 on. So we're in again that countdown. Now, it's one thing for people to understand that nuclear weapons, largely those of the probably some degree British, but mostly U.S. weapons based in the Mediterranean or in the Gulf area, who are going to be deployed to actually launch a major attack on Russia and China, and possibly other locations. So this will be, of course, without going into all the details of how this thing works, this is going to be thermonuclear World War II, if it starts. As of now, as long as Obama remains actively the president, this war will probably occur soon. And there won't be many people left on this planet when that's over. Now, the British are the ones who concocted this. Obama is the one who's supposed to take the lead off in starting the war. So therefore, the only way we're likely to stop this war from occurring, this thermonuclear barrage, is to lift Obama out of the presidency, probably under the basis of the 25th Amendment, Section 4, because the man is insane, and the kind of insanity he represents is exactly that which is specified in the language of the 25th Amendment, Section 4. But it will be a British and a British puppet, Obama, who will set the thing off unless they're stopped. Pulling Obama out of the fray and putting him under suspension under the 25th Amendment or outright impeachment charges will probably prevent this thing from happening. I see nothing else but that which could stop this war from being launched. Russia's fully aware of this. China's fully aware of this. Other nations are fully aware of the general nature of the thing. Some people have a better picture of the details. We're headed for a thermonuclear war. Now, according to what the British say themselves, the intention of this war is to reduce the world's population from now 7 billion people down to 1 or less. And it can be done with a thermonuclear war like that and with the food shortages in various parts of the world, including the United States. There's not enough food supply in the United States to maintain the population of the United States right now. Without emergency action, this cannot be coped with. So the question is why? Why is somebody so damn foolish as to start a general thermonuclear war? Now, the general principle of thermonuclear war, if you're really talking about thermonuclear war, is there is no solution. It has no solution. You can't win that war except as you want to play the devil and you want to pretty much destroy most of the human species. That you can do. And both sides with an exchange of weapons can do that. And are likely to do that if Obama is not removed from office on the basis of either his insanity or his impeachable offenses, on either or both of those accounts. And that's where we stand. So we now reach the point that the existence of the human species, the very existence of our nation as a nation, depends on throwing out this Obama from the presidency and everything he represents, and reversing this policy of the Obama, the British, and so forth. Reverse it now while we still can. It's our last chance. We may be days away from thermonuclear World War III, because this is not an Iran issue. The Iran issue is just like another Balkan issue. A Balkan war created in order to set off a world war. And the world war is thermonuclear World War III. Either we stop it now, or we're going to be sitting in hell.
Make clear, stopping it means destroying the British Empire and removing Obama. It's not a question of saying, okay, well, can we wait and then try to slow him down, hem him in? Because the point you've made is that this is the instinct on their part. This is what the oligarchical principle does. It's not one option they're doing where they're sort of misbehaving. They've got no choice but to destroy. Their existence depends on the destruction of the rest of the human species, as we know it, as far as like, you can't have, why lean so heavily on the population question? We're realizing more and more that everything they've said on population is bullshit. All the arguments, all the environmentalist arguments they give you are bullshit. The idea of carrying capacity is an absurd idea. It doesn't exist. There is no, not even for life. Animals will have sort of fixed environments will have fixed populations giving a certain environment they live in. Mm-hmm. But even for life has steadily created its environment. If you look at Earth, everybody's trying to find an Earth-like planet. If you want to find an Earth-like planet, put life there. You'll get an Earth-like planet. That's where it came from. There's no sweet spot that life lives in. Life did that. But then human beings surpass even that. We don't depend on our environment. We consciously shape that, sculpt that. We change what our carrying capacity is, and in fact, we depend on increasing it. If you think.
You see, we saw this thing on the screen yesterday of this Mars project, which was done in Russia.
Okay.
What was an actual test run on the ability of human beings to adapt to what our best understanding is of the conditions of life on Mars. Mm-hmm. It was not complete, but it's a concrete commitment to man's ability to live on other planets, or to find out how we can, or at least to find out what we can do with these other planets. In other words, we don't have to be on Jupiter. That would be a hell of a problem to deal with. I mean, walking around Jupiter is not a very good idea. As a matter of fact, you couldn't do it. But we can use Jupiter by using synthetic technologies, just like the way we had planned to set up the extraterrestrial means in terms of the moon. The extraterrestrial approach, which is now being taken toward Mars. Mm-hmm. And Mars is the most feasible of these things that we see so far. Mm-hmm. We can artificial environments which can be adapted to the human species. But our ability to do that has certain limitations. But if we take and create synthetic instruments, powerful synthetic instruments, these instruments can go down to Jupiter or whatever and are in empty space. And these instruments, even floating like an asteroid in empty space, can do work under U.S. instruction, for example, under Earth-based instruction, which can actually perform the activity of mankind taking more and more control over our environment, our global environment. And as Peter knows, from now, you have to also do this on the weather thing, because if you don't understand how the galaxy is affecting our weather system, you don't understand the weather. You could also give us a lot of story on a number of other things of this same nature, that we don't have the ability to, we don't even know what's going on inside solar space. We don't have the instruments. There are things there that we don't have control over, which can be great threats to mankind. And we don't even have the ability to detect them because Obama, for example, won't let us have those preceptors, which we need to locate these problems which are coming near Earth, like this rock that just passes between the moon and Earth. There's stuff out there which we don't have control over, which has the same kind of potential to strike the human species in near-Earth environment. And we don't have the means to control it because Obama won't let us have that information.
I think it's important to point out, too, that since Obama came into office, he's pretty much presided over the end of the American manned space program, that the budget cuts that they launched early in his administration had the effect of just decimating NASA's manned space capability. And now Congress is, freaking out. They don't know exactly who to blame. But now what's coming out is that the next budget proposal from the administration is going to hack the other aspect of NASA, which is the planetary space program, the planetary science space program, which is not manned. It's all the instrumentation like rovers and things like that to Mars. The next budget proposal is aimed at cutting that, right, including cutting things like this Webb infrared space telescope, and shutting down, which is completely retarded, this Kepler space telescope, which is finding all these possibly habitable planets. Right now there's over 1,000 stars that this thing has found with planetary systems, and the next budget is geared to just turning the telescope off because we don't have enough money to power it, which is totally insane. Because for one thing, and this gets at the real intent, if you really wanted to cut a budget, you wouldn't go after NASA. NASA doesn't take up a lot of the budget. Going after NASA and going after the manned space program and going after even basic science in space is an attack on the ability for human beings to express their creativity by increasing their power over understanding what drives processes in the solar system and the rest of the universe.
Well, we do the hopeful thing here as a potential, though not the trend. The hopeful thing is that the kinds of discoveries, physical, economic discoveries, and scientific discoveries, which I've been involved in recently, show that actually mankind is only on the fringe of discovering what real science is. And we've been working at this in the basement and around this period. It's there. A complete change in the way we see the universe, at least in terms of man's role in the universe. That's available to us now. Right. We have it right, I say we can have it in our hands. We do have it in our hands or in our minds. Yeah? Some of us do. And we know we can teach this to others. There are great options for mankind. The greatest mankind has ever known are there, available to us, if we can get the power to get these things under control and go on with things we can do. The best thing, the most important moral thing, is we have the potential to demonstrate to mankind that mankind has a certain kind of immortal quality, which is far beyond what most of us have heretofore thought. Mankind has a great potential. These assembly of international volunteers in this Mars project set up in Russia. This typifies the fact that we are on the verge of practical discoveries which open the gates to dimensions for humanity which mankind would not have dreamed of before. So we have one option. We have the option of throwing out Obama and throwing out the British Empire, putting him in a cage someplace. Don't kill him, put him in a cage. They're a horrible example. Humanity must see how horrible mankind can get and be reminded of that so we don't do any more of this nonsense. But we have right now, we're on the verge in science, in practical science. We're on the verge of discoveries which are the greatest discoveries that mankind has ever achieved. And the option is we can either go Obama's way, which is hell, literally, or we can go our way. And I can see before us the brightest prospect for humanity I've ever known of is right within our reach right now. Not tomorrow, but in the sense of the immediate future.